Hi, this is Dr. Caruso. Thank you for joining me for this presentation of instructional design and evaluation. Let's begin with a discussion about learning. Just what is learning? We can describe learning as a change of behavior, because after all, if we want to close or significantly narrow a performance gap, we are seeking to change a behavior. We can also describe learning as knowledge that is obtained by study or experience, or the art of acquiring knowledge, skills, and attitudes, or KSAs. There are several different theories on learning. Behaviorism, constructivism, cognitivism, and humanism are a few. Behaviorists believe that behavior is caused by external stimuli. Constructivists believe that new information is linked to prior knowledge, thus mental representations are subjective. Cognitivists believe the learner is viewed as an information processor, much like a computer. And humanists believe that learning is viewed as a personal act to fulfill one's individual potential. Just as there are different learning theories, there are different learning theorists. This first one, do you recognize this gentleman? He's the father of andragogy. He is a humanist. Yes, it is Malcolm Knowles. Howard Gardner gave us multiple intelligences, and Robert Gagne, the cognitivist, gave us the 9 events of learning. Learning modalities are the ways in which we physically take in, process, and remember information. The 3 general categories of learning are visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. Visual learners account for 65% of adult learners. Their eyes are the key to learning. Auditory learners account for 30% of adults. Their ears are the key to learning. And kinesthetic learners account for about 5% of adults. Their hands and bodies are the key to learning. It's important when you are designing instruction to include learning activities that appeal to these 3 learning styles. So then, what is instructional design? On the left, we have a formal definition. Instructional design, abbreviated ID, also called instructional systems design, abbreviated ISD, is the practice of maximizing the effectiveness, efficiency, and appeal of instruction and other learning experiences. A good training program is effective. It provides accurate, complete, and up-to-date information. It's based on clear, complete outcomes. It's consistent with relevant theoretical principles. It's based on a coherent and congruent plan. It makes good sense of and use of instructional approaches and media. It provides the means for assessing student learning. It's thoroughly reviewed and revised. A good training program is also efficient. It fits within the prescribed time limits. And a good training program is also appealing. It's tailored to the skills and interests of the particular learners. It makes good use of layout and format, and it's fun. The ID process consists of determining the current state and needs of the learner, defining the end goal of instruction, and creating some intervention to assist in learning acquisition. In other words, it assists in changing behavior. There are many ID models, but I'm sure you are most familiar with the Ed.D model of instructional design and its 5 phases. So here she is, here's Ed.D, and she's come to save the day because she is equipped with those 5 phases of instructional design to help assure that you create a training that is effective, efficient, and appealing. The Ed.D model: analyze, design, develop, implement, and evaluate. What happens in these various phases of the Ed.D model? The analyze phase helps to answer these questions. What are overall purposes or goals of instruction? Why is this instruction needed? And what is the knowledge gap? In the analyze phase, the needs and characteristics of the learners are identified. This is called the learner analysis, or often called an audience analysis. Why do you think a learner or audience analysis is important? An audience or learner analysis is important to identify the characteristics that affect the learner's learning. The analysis includes information about learners' educational background, previous training or learning experiences, relevant work experiences, and motivation for training or learning. This information helps designers customize training for the intended audience. The most important finding of a learner or audience analysis is what the learner already knows about the training topic. The analyze phase also includes a content analysis and a task analysis. The content analysis answers the question, what is the content of this instruction? In other words, what content will help bring about the learning objectives? Once that content is identified, a task analysis is performed. A task analysis breaks the content into individual tasks and topics. A task analysis is a systematic method of detailing all the steps necessary to completely perform a specific task. These steps represent the foundation upon which the performance-based training objectives, course content, and evaluation instruments are constructed. Simply put, the task analysis provides a detailed picture of the task to be learned. The task analysis can also provide information about entry-level skills and possible prerequisites for training. All tasks and topics are defined in terms of learning outcomes. It's important to recognize whether these learning outcomes take place in the cognitive, psychomotor, or affective domains of learning. The content of your training should be presented in a logical order. A context analysis will help you determine certain parameters or limitations that are already in place. It will also help you decide whether to conduct the training with groups or individually. A context analysis will also help you determine the logistics. Are there available resources, available time, and available expertise? In the design phase, learning objectives in terms of specific behaviors are identified. In the coming weeks, we will learn the ABCD method of writing learning objectives. In the design phase, appropriate instructional methods for teaching or facilitating the learning of specific behaviors are also identified. These include presentation, demonstration, discussion, cooperative learning, discovery, problem solving, instructional games, simulations, drill and practice, and tutorial. Here are a description of each of these strategies. Depending on the instructional method chosen, appropriate media for conveying the instruction is also identified in the design phase. Print, audio, video, computer are some of the instructional methods that could be identified. In the develop phase, everything that you have designed in the previous stage is developed. Any handouts, videos, overheads, computer programs, etc. are now developed according to the design. An instructional plan is also developed in this phase. The instructional plan outlines instructional and learning activities, methods, media, and materials in a logical order. Time for each of these activities is also specified. In the implement phase of the Ed.D model, final preparations for pilot testing are made. Pilot testing should be conducted with representative learners, and any necessary revisions happen in this phase. In the evaluation phase, there are two types of evaluation, formative and summative. Formative evaluation yields data for informing revision decisions. I often think of the formative stage of evaluation as a chef tasting the soup. A chef can add salt if the soup is not salty enough, or add water if the soup is too salty. Summative, I often think of the chef serving the soup. It has already been perfected during the previous phase of evaluation, and now the customer can assess the overall value of the soup, still subject to some revision according to that feedback. Donald Kirkpatrick gave us 4 levels of evaluation. Level 1 is the initial reaction of trainees to the training program. In other words, did they like it? Level 2 measures the knowledge acquired, skills improved, or attitudes changed. In other words, did they learn it? Level 3 answers the question, are participants behaving differently as a result of training? In other words, did the training transfer onto the job site? Level 4 measures business results. In other words, what is the ultimate impact of change behavior on the organization? I hope you have found this review of instructional design and evaluation helpful. Thank you for joining me.